negative 7x minus 5x to the fourth plus 5, and I'm subtracting a quantity of negative 7x to the fourth minus 5 minus 9x. Okay, so what I'm going to do is rewrite this first one without the parentheses. Negative 7x minus 5x to the fourth plus 5. And now I'm going to change the sign of every value in this quantity. So that's minus I guess I'll do another color. Minus a negative 7x to the fourth. It's minus a negative plus. I'm just going to change it. Plus, plus, plus. Minus a negative 5 is plus 5. Minus a negative 9x is plus 9x. And then we'll see what cancels. Negative 5x to the fourth plus 7x to the fourth is 2x to the fourth. Negative 7x plus 9x is 2x. And 5 and 5 is 10. Let me just kind of check this. Negative 5, so that's 2x to the fourth. Negative 7x, 2x. Okay, that looks good. I think I can do 15 under here. Simplify the product. 5a squared. And that's a 2. 5a squared times 3a to the fourth plus 3b. Okay, so 5a squared times 3a to the fourth is equal to 15a to the 2 plus 4 or 6. And 5a squared times 3b is 15, positive 15 a squared b. Look at that real quick. 15a to the 6 plus 15a squared b. Okay. Moving right along. Simplify the product using FOIL. Okay, so we have two binomials. 16, number 16. 3x minus 7 times the quantity 3x minus 5. So first times first is 3x times 3x, which is 9x squared. Outside is the leftmost and the rightmost, so 3x times negative 5. Inside are the two innermost, so that's minus 21x. And then last is negative 7 times negative 5. I'll just write it there, plus 35. So that's 9x squared minus, negative 15 minus 21 is negative 36x plus 35. Let me just look at it for a second. 9x squared minus 36x, okay, plus 35. (17) says simplify using the horizontal method. I'm going to switch these, so I'm going to, well, let me do it. 2 as written, 2n squared plus 5n plus 4 times 3n minus 5. So what you're going to do is distribute this 3n over each of these three terms, and then you're going to distribute the negative 5 over these three terms. So this will look like 3n times 2n squared is 6n cubed. 3n times 5n is 15n squared. Let me clean that up a little bit. Uh, 3n times 4 is 12n, and now my negative 5. So now it'll be negative, negative, negative. Negative 5 times 2n squared, so that's minus 10n squared. Negative 5 times 5n, or minus 25n. Negative 5 times 4, or minus 20. So this is 6n cubed. So now I can combine 15n squared minus 10n squared, or 5n squared, and I can say 12n minus 25n is minus 13n, and tack on my minus 20. So I have a linear binomial, 3n to the first, or 3n minus 5. So I have a linear times a quadratic, so I'll get a cubic. And then at the end I have one constant times one constant, so that's why this won't combine with anything. Okay, find the square. Four x minus 6y cubed. They want me to square this? Okay. So what I would do is I would just write it out twice and FOIL it. So this is equal to 4x minus 6y cubed times 4x minus 6y cubed. So first times first is 4x times 4x, which is 16x squared. So this will be negative, or outside I guess, negative 6y cubed times 4x, or minus 24x y cubed. So that was outside. So inside is going to be the same thing again. Minus 4x times, 4x times negative 6y cubed. So minus 24xy cubed. And then negative 6y cubed times negative 6y cubed is 36y to the sixth. So now I can combine these two, 16x squared minus 48xy cubed plus 36y squared. So I want to erase above 18 to show you what's happening here. The short answer is when I want to square out a binomial, the easiest way is just to FOIL it out, to write it out twice and do it just as if they were two different. But what's going to happen is you can use the formula. So ours is 4x minus 6y cubed. So this is basically a minus b all squared is a squared minus twice ab plus b squared. In our case, a is equal to 4x and b is equal to 6y cubed. So right, when we multiplied the conjugate pairs, the two middle terms cancel. Here they're going to double, right? So if they just want you to square it, they may ask you to write it out this way, but it's easier just to write it out twice and FOIL it. Right, once you have a difference of cubes or a sum of cubes, it's easier, I guess, to use the formula, but with this one, unless they specifically ask you to, I would just write it out twice. Because there would be enough formula to memorize anyway, that the ones that aren't sort of necessary for the exam or aren't on a sheet. And as far as tests like this, I have no idea if there's a formula sheet or not. So that was find the square. So 19 just says find the product. Product, right? So we're multiplying 7p minus 3, 7p plus 3. Right, so when I FOIL these out, the middle terms are going to go away. Well, they'll cancel. Not go away exactly. 7p times 7p is 49p squared. So outside is 7p times 3, 21p. So the inside will be minus 7p times 3, minus 21p. And then negative 3 times 3 minus 9. So these will cancel, and I get 49p squared minus 9. So that's a difference of squares, right? So and that's a so a would be 7p and b would be 3. And again, it's more often seen to factor the difference of squares to this, to do the reverse of what we just did. I mean, you may be asked to do either, in general. Factor the expression. X squared minus x minus 42. So this is going to be, now not all trinomials factor. When I have x squared, when my coefficient is just 1, when it's just x squared, then I know I get 2 x's here. I try to sort of lock in what I know has to be true. When this is negative and this is negative, it means I'm going to have one of each, positive and negative. And if this is just x squared, it doesn't matter where I put them. So now I need 2 factors of 42. Right, so they have to multiply to 42, and they have to add up to negative 1. So they're 1 apart, and they multiply to 42. So that's 6 and 7. And then I want this to be negative 1. So I want minus 7 and plus 6. If you're stuck with any of these factoring, you can put them into the quadratic formula, and then you can rewrite your factors given your solutions. Right? So if I put this into the quadratic formula, I guess I'm not going to do it here. Right? My solutions would be negative 6 and 7. So then you'd have to say, okay, x minus negative 6 or x plus 6 and x minus 7 are my factors. And then, yeah, you could try and go back and show your work as best you can. That's if you get stuck. W squared, this is 21, plus 18w, plus 77. Okay. Right, the higher, well, basically the higher these numbers are, the more it can get a little trickier, but especially my x squared term, or in this case w squared term. So this one is just w squared, so w and w. Now when this is plus and this is plus, basically if there are no negatives in the problem when I'm factoring these, then these are both plus. And now I need 2 factors of 77 that add up to 18. So that's 7 and 11. And it doesn't matter which I put where. And I'm going to get this to pop back up. All right. That was what, 21? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and erase this. I'm going to do, there's a couple graphs on this review sheet, and I'll just do a sort of real rough graph with the points we need on there. But I'm not going to try to put it in a calculator or show any of that. Which you could, or graphing software or something like that. You do your best on the test, you know, when you have time. I mean, if they give you the graph and just ask you to, like in this case, identify the vertex and min or max. So ours looks just kind of like this, and it's at just kind of does this. So this is always on the x, this is always on the y, so our vertex is 0, 1. And in this case, it is a maximum because our graph opens down. So this would be like the opposite of x squared plus 1. It would be close. That anyway, that doesn't ask you for, we can find the equation of the parabola given 3 points on the parabola, but that's not what it's asking. So we'll keep it a little simpler. It just says identify the vertex, min or maximum. So our vertex is here where it curves. Well, It's a maximum here. If it opened upward, if it looked like a U, you'd have a minimum. 23. Okay, so this one wants us to graph. All right, so let me take this down. There aren't too many on here, but it does slow it down a little bit. So f of x, so a function of x, 2x squared plus 4x minus 2. Axis of symmetry and vertex. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, this is my a term. So it's ax squared plus bx plus c. That's my general form. So what I'm going to do is the opposite of b over 2a. So in our case, a is equal to 2, b is equal to 4, c is equal to negative 2. So the opposite of b over 2a is negative 4 over 2 times 2, negative 4 over 4, or negative 1. So then what I'll do is I'll put that function back, I'll put negative 1 in for x back into our function. So I'll say, alright, what is f of negative 1? And that's going to be 2 times negative 1 squared plus 4 times negative 1 minus 2. So that's negative 1 squared is 1. So this is 2 minus 4 minus 2, which is negative 4. So that means that my vertex is this x value that we found, comma, this y value that we found when we put negative 1 in for x. So my vertex is negative 1, negative 4. And the axis of symmetry, when I did opposite of b